In this video, I'm going to talk about the process now for updating subassessments for income, non-cash benefits, health insurance, and disabilities. Now that we have this new HUD verification process, it means that we have entries in our subassessments for every type of income, non-cash benefit, health insurance, and disability. So we need to be careful when we're editing these that we correctly show not only the history at entry, but now the active record when the client situation changes. So I'm going to start by doing an update on this client. I'm going to click on interims, and I'm going to add an interim review. And the type for this interim review is just simply going to be an update. And I'll set my date for my update from my update form. And I'll click Save and Continue. And it brings up all of the assessment or the information from the update assessment. So in this case, I'm going to deal with this client who now is receiving workers' compensation that wasn't receiving workers' compensation at entry. The way I need to do this is start by clicking on the pencil for workers' compensation. It pulls up the record. The receiving income source is set to no, which was valid at entry, and I want to make sure that the income type is still valid at entry. So I'm going to set an end date for this, which is the day before my assessment, which is 10/9 of 2014. My assessment date, my update date is actually 10/10 of 2014. So I set this to the day before that update, and I'm going to save and add another because now I want to add a record showing that that client is actually receiving workers' compensation. So I'll check the source as workers' compensation. I'll set a monthly amount, and in this case I'll set it to receiving income source equals yes. In the past this defaulted to a yes value, but now because of the HUD verification field this will no longer default, so we need to make sure that on every assessment that we're setting the receiving income or the receiving non-cash benefit value to yes. This defaults to the day of our assessment. I'm actually going to change that to the day before. So I'm going to click on the calendar, pick the day before, and I don't need to set an end date because this client is still receiving this workers' compensation. So we put some notes on here to show you that you always want to make sure that this is set to yes if you have an amount up here. And that the start date should be the day before the intake, the update, or the exit, which in this case it's an update. And the end date should be the date before the event that's taking place. In this case, we don't need an end date, but if we were going to add an end date, it would be the day before our event, just like we did when we ended the no at the day before this update. So in this case, I can save this, and notice that now my HUD verification turns back to green, because I have this value entered in here, and I show my workers' compensation history to be no and then yes, which correctly reflects that I had no workers' compensation at entry, and I've connected them to workman's comp and gotten them workers' compensation income during this program stay or project stay. I can scroll down, edit the rest of the information from the update, and I can save and exit. And I now have my update that shows the correct income information based on that HUD verification changes with all the yeses and nos. So that's the process. It shouldn't be any more complicated. We just have to make sure that we deal with those nos and don't lose track of those nos at entry. Thank you.